Yo, this is Dark, and here's a mythic guide to the City of Threads. Ooh, spooky. Alright, in the first boss area, there's going to be a little gimmick here. If you have a priest, a rogue, or an engineer with at least 25 skill, there's going to be little projections of the queen that you can interact with that will increase your damage for 15% for 30 seconds. Alright, starting off with the Venom Blades for tanks. They're going to do a Venom Strike to you, which is going to be physical damage, but poisoning you, doing a dot 1 second for 6 seconds, so make sure you're poison dispelling those. Then you got the Silk Binders that will do web bolts, kick those if you're able to, but most importantly here, Silk Binding is a channel that's going to do some damage, reducing movement, and if it fully channels, it's going to stun that target for 4 seconds, so for sure priority kick. Then you got the Swarm Guards, which are going to cast Ravenous Swarm, which is a heavy dot on the whole party for a bunch of nature damage, 1 second for 6 seconds. And then they'll also do Earth Shatter, which is a big frontal pointing at a random player. So make sure you're getting out of that frontal. Then you got the Heralds over here that will have Twisted Thoughts, which is a kickable ability that will leave a big old puddle and do a bunch of damage. So make sure you're kicking that. They'll also cast Shadow of Doubt on a player that can be dispelled. It will be a dot for 1 second every 8 seconds, but on a removal, it will shoot little orbs from that player. I believe it's 5 orbs, and if they hit any other players, they do damage, and they also stun you for 3 seconds, so make sure you're dodging those orbs. The first boss, Crix Vix. This is a melee-friendly fight right here. Chains of Oppression is the circle around the boss that will be there the whole fight. You cannot be outside that circle. If you are, you'll take damage, and he's going to rip your ass back in there. Then you got Terrorize, which is a random frontal on a player. Dodge it, otherwise if you get hit by it, you're going to be feared for 4 seconds. And the boss will also cast Shadow of Doubt, just like the ads from before, but it will go on 2 players, so make sure you're careful with your dispels, and the players who have the Shadow of Doubt, make sure you're kind of on the outside so all the other players can dodge the orbs when you're getting dispelled. Perseverous Indoctrination is the ultimate ability where she's going to channel doing a bunch of shadow damage 1 second every 4 seconds. After that channel, it's going to leave a puddle on the ground that you guys all want to kind of move away from at the same time, because that puddle is going to be humongous and you want to just keep rotating around the room to the open spaces. The last ability she'll do is going to be for the tank Subjugate, which is going to be a heavy shadow physical damage hit, and it's also going to reduce your movement 30%, 10 seconds, deaths advance, DKs, am I right? And that's it for this chump. Let's go. After the first boss, going to the little gauntlet area, you're going to fight Zephyric, who's going to be defeated at 50%, and then he's going to throw some pheromones on you so you can sneak around and do the next stuff. And he's got 1 kickable ability and then just a bunch of swirlies he does. Pretty simple stuff. For the sneaking around area, the goal is to find Eyes of the Queen, which are going to be indicated by the little shadows that pop up. There's always one right at the start. You'll see them, then you have to do the extra action button to reveal them. You fight them in their trash, kill them. What I always do after the very first one, I always go to the left and kind of go around the whole area because there's one in each section. And by the time you're back on the right side of this area, you'll be where you need to be to talk to the NPC to take you to the boss fight. And as you're moving around the sneaky area, make sure you're not getting caught by the Pale Priest because they can see through your disguise and kill you. Or they don't really kill you, they just put you at the beginning of the area, kind of annoying. As for the Eyes of the Queen, what they actually do, they have Void Rush, which is going to target 4 random players, doing a bunch of dot damage, so healers, make sure you're ready to pop some AoE heals for that. Then they also have the frontal attack, Null Slam, which will teleport behind someone, and then they're going to be doing a frontal, so make sure you're just dodging the frontal. And then they also spawn with the Web Mensers here that cast Grimweave Blast, which kind of acts like a Chain Lightning where it bounces to different targets, so you make sure you kick those. And they also have a random channeling heal, so make sure you're kicking that too. And if you started with the Queen's Eyes by going to the left side, circling all the way back to the right side of the area, you'll find the Nezrek guy who's going to do some RP and lead you to the next boss. Fangs of the Queen, Nyx and Vix. Quick note in this fight is that the bosses will be sharing health, and then they will also be overlapping their abilities, so you want to watch out for that. In this fight, one of the bosses will always be empowered. It starts off with Nyx, while the other boss will be doing a bleed on a random player, and also one other of their main abilities. Alright, for Nyx, when he's empowered, he'll be doing Shade Slash, which is going to be a frontal on the tank, so make sure you're pointing that away from the group. But it will also be summoning an echo of Nyx, so an echo shade will be there, and he will be echoing all the abilities that he does when he's empowered. So next time there's another Shade Slash, him and the echo will be doing them. And he'll also do Dustbringer. It's going to do some raid damage and also do AoE circles around him and his shades. Make sure you're out of those circles. When Nyx is empowered, Bix will do her one ability once in a while called Ice Sickles that will shoot at all the players besides the tank. That's just a line, which is just an Ice Lance looking ability that will just shoot in a straight line at you. At 100 energy, they'll be casting Synergic Step, which the bosses will start dashing around the arena. There'll be blue lines that will indicate where they're heading, so make sure you're dodging those and get out of the way. And they'll be also swapping their empowerment. All right, when Vix is empowered, Nyx will do his throwing knife random bleed at a random player, and then he'll also do Dustbringer, the AoE that will be around him and his shades. For Vix, she'll be doing Rhyme Dagger, which will hit the tank with heavy physical damage and also applying 10 stacks of freezing blood. That will initially explode, doing frost damage to everyone in the party, but to get rid of the stacks of freezing blood, you want to be stacked with your teammates, because the more teammates you're stacked with every second will get rid of application, get rid of the debuff completely, which is indicated by the light blue AoE circle around the tank. Yeah, make sure you're staying on the goddamn tank. Don't be like my teammates in this dungeon who are running away from me. Fools! And that's it for the fangs, baby. All right, moving on to the next area. You're going to be dealing with conscripts, which will be doing a tank buster called Brutal Jab. Heavy physical damage, but it's going to also be doing 10% increase physical damage taken for 10 seconds. This will stack, so make sure you're popping defenses with high stacks. All right, there's a mini boss in this area, the Royal Venom Shell, which is going to be doing venomous spray, which will put a poison dot on everybody. So make sure you're dispelling those as needed. And then there'll also be swirlies as he's channeling the cast that will be casting all over the place. So we'll dodge those as well. And then you'll have a frontal at a random player, and just make sure you're out of that. Working your way into the building, you're going to be dealing with the Sureki Unnaturalers, which have the most important kick here. It's a cast called Void Wave that will do a bunch of shadow damage, but also knocking you back, which you don't want to get knocked back into the web people around, otherwise you're going to be spawning more ads, so make sure you're kicking that. The unstable test subjects here will be doing Dark Barrage, which is going to be swirlies spawning on top of all the players, so make sure you're getting out of all those swirlies, and then they'll be doing Fierce Stomping, which is just unavoidable AoE damage. Kill the non-elites here to summon the boss. The Collagamation! His main thing is Vicious Darkness, where he's going to slam the ground, knocking back everybody, and also summoning a bunch of orbs that will be coming towards him. You want to intercept those orbs, otherwise they heal the boss for 7% of his maximum health. Whatever, just don't let him hit him, don't have to worry about it. When you absorb them, they're actually going to be putting a debuff on you, a healing absorption, so you want to make sure that you're helping the healers if you got any increased healing abilities or heals yourselves or dots and whatnot. When you absorb these orbs, they will also leave a puddle on the ground, so once there's too many puddles in one area, you want to move to a clear area and keep rotating the boss around the room. For the tanks, he's going to do Oozing Smash, which is going to be a shadow damage ability, but also reducing healing by 30% for 10 seconds, so make sure you're careful if you're absorbing those orbs with Oozing Smash, because that is double healing reduction, and Death Knights do not like healing reduction. And then his ultimate ability at 100% energy, he'll be doing Dark Pulse, which is a channel AoE. It's heavy hitting, so this is where you want to do like AMZ or any AoE healing cooldowns you got. He'll also be casting Blood Surge, which is an AoE around him doing damage. Melee, you want to make sure you gain out of it before it expires, and he's going to leave a big puddle on the ground after it, so make sure you're pulling him out of there. And then it's a rinse and repeat, and then you're freaking done. All right, the final boss room's got a couple big ads here that do some of the boss mechanics, so you want to make sure you're learning these before the boss. Shade Weaver will be casting web bolts that you can kick if you're able to, and then she'll be doing Umbral Weave, which is a channel cast that's going to be rooting everyone. You want to make sure you're stacked. These roots, you're going to actually attack them to get out of them, so you want to stack up, kill all the roots, free yourselves. And then the next dude's going to be the Hulking War Shell. He'll be doing Tremor Slam, which will be doing AoE damage to everyone, but if you're in the AoE circle around him, it will do quadruple damage and most likely kill you, unless you're a tank. The final boss up in this mofo, Izo, the Grand Splicer. At the beginning of the fight, he's going to create 3 spheres of anomalies. They're going to do shadow damage if they're touched and knock you back, and they're going to periodically move towards random players. indicated by the purple swirlies on the ground. She'll also apply Splice to everyone in the party. That's just periodic shadow damage, so healers make sure you're on top of that, mofos. She'll also be casting Tremor Slam and Umbral Weave, just like the ads before the boss fight we're doing. Just remember, you train for this, you already know this mechanic, just make sure you're not in the brown circle. Group of the ads, kill them, and then for the Weave, make sure you're stacking up on each other so you can cleave down the roots. Alright, her ultimate ability at 100 energy is going to be Process of Elimination. She's going to have those balls of anomaly come to her. AoE will be around the tank, so no one else be standing on the tank or close to them. And one at a time, she's going to be throwing the shadow ball anomalies at the tank, doing heavy shadow and physical damage. So make sure you're popping cooldowns like AMS and all that good stuff. And after that, she'll be respawning 3 new balls, and it's rinse and repeat from there. And you just want to kill her ass and finish this crab and get out of here. And that's it for this dungeon. I'm so proud of all you. You did it.